Green Stuff World have released 6 new patina paints that oxidize just like the popular Dirty Down paints. But without the solvents, without the smell, at a lower price and with extra colors like soot and dirt. In this video I put all 6 Green Stuff World paints head to head with Dirty Down to find out which patina paint pulls off the best effects. Green Stuff World are the kings of special effect paints, and whenever something new hits the hobby market, it usually doesn't take long for them to release their own version. The new patina paints oxidize as they dry, creating a super realistic texture. You get a greenish and a turquoise verdigris, a yellow oxide rust, a moss paint, plus black soot and filthy dirt. This epic versus video has 3 parts. First, I compare all the patina paints against their Dirty Down counterparts. Second, I'll show you the 2 exclusive soot and dirt colors. And third, I'll choose a winner, you get my verdict, and maybe even some better alternatives. By the way, I'm Stahly from Tale of Painters. I'm a real paint nerd and my channel is all about testing and reviewing the latest miniature paints. I've been painting Warhammer and tabletop miniatures for over 20 years, and I also maintain this library of professional hand-painted color swatches for you to download, the Stahly swatch system. Right, the patina paints are available as a 6-piece set or individually in generous 60ml bottles. There are also extra large 250ml bottles. The 60ml bottles cost around 8 to 9 euro, which is roughly the same price as 25ml Dirty Down bottles, plus you often get discounts from Green Stuff World. So you're getting more than double the volume for your money. Now, for the big face-off, I go through the verdigris, rust and moss products from both manufacturers one by one, and then we look at the exclusive soot and dirt. For the verdigris comparison, I've prepared some test bases and sprayed them with true copper from the Warpaints Air range. Green Stuff World offers not 1 but 2 verdigris colors, the greenish verdigris and the more bluish turquoise oxide. Before you can use these paints, you need to pierce a hole in the cap with something sharp. I'm not a big fan of these nozzles with this type of paint because the patina paints gunk up the cap pretty quickly and block the nozzles. I start with Green Stuff World verdigris followed by turquoise oxide. I apply the paints lighter at the top while concentrating more on the recesses, then go heavier and thicker towards the bottom. The consistency feels like an acrylic wash, but as you can see there are some small lumps in the paint. I'm not sure whether that's intentional or a weird side effect of this paint. Have you tried the patinas yet? Are yours the same? Please tell me in the comments. Because they contain no solvents, these paints are completely odorless and produce no fumes, which is a big plus. I repeat the process with Dirty Down verdigris, and the first thing that strikes me is the smell. Takes me straight back to the smell of Chaos Black and Skull White spray primers of the 90s. Good times, but not great for your lungs. Make sure you work in a well-ventilated area and ideally wear a respirator. Now we wait because these paints oxidize as they dry on contact with air. The Green Stuff World patinas take quite a long time. At least 15 minutes, and in areas where you have applied a thick coat it can take up to half an hour. Dirty Down is faster, the effect starts developing after just around 5 minutes. And here are the results. The patina paints have done a really nice job. Both the greenish verdigris and the turquoise oxide show beautiful gradients from dark to light, and the areas where the paint was a bit clumpy have actually produced a realistic grainy texture. The Dirty Down verdigris didn't perform as well, despite me shaking and stirring it thoroughly beforehand. It's very dark and the oxidation effect is quite weak. I also ran some further tests, for example here over a light beige base coat, and again it stayed quite dark. Straight over black, the Dirty Down verdigris worked a bit better, but even there the effect is weaker than with Green Stuff World. One thing is clear though, with both Green Stuff World and Dirty Down, there's always an element of randomness in how the effect develops that you just have to embrace. I think this round goes to Green Stuff World, but how do the other colors compare? Before we look at rust and moss next, please take a moment to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll help you level up your painting game with the latest paint reviews. Because mini painting is way more fun when you have a paint that works for you, not against you. Alright, for the rust effect, I've sprayed the bases with gunmetal. I apply the yellow oxide from Green Stuff World first, light at the top, a thick coat at the bottom. This one also has a bit of a texture. Then comes Dirty Down rust. Dirty Down paints tend to gunk up at the bottom of the bottle, so you really need to shake them well and give them a proper stir before first use and after any long break. The rust paint seems particularly prone to gunking up. Now we wait again. Dirty Down develops within a few minutes, while Green Stuff World needed over 20. The difference here is quite noticeable. Green Stuff World's yellow oxide has once again produced a really strong effect with plenty of texture and color variance from yellow to an orange brown. Dirty Down, on the other hand, has come out dark and more uniform. Here you can see both colors over black primer, with yellow oxide on the left, which looks a touch more yellow compared to Dirty Down rust on the right. So straight out of the bottle, I would say Green Stuff World surprisingly comes out on top again here too. But there's a trick to getting the best out of Dirty Down paints. As the label says, they're water soluble, which means you can reactivate them with a damp brush, cotton swab or sponge. Let me show you on this test base, it really does work well. You can feather the Dirty Down rust out and blend it into the silver, or lift it off to create a streaky effect. So I think with Dirty Down you really need this extra step. The Green Stuff World Patina paints are also water soluble, but they don't blend quite as nicely, probably because they don't contain any solvents. Whether Dirty Down or Green Stuff World, this means you absolutely need to seal these paints with a coat of varnish, because even slightly sweaty hands can make them reactivate. Also, if you paint over these, they bleed through subsequent layers of paint. Round 3 is the moss. I apply the Green Stuff World version on the left base and Dirty Down on the right one. I've sprayed one half of the bases brown and the other beige, so we can see how each paint behaves over light and dark surfaces. On the left is the Green Stuff World result. A very light, slightly yellowish green with relatively little texture and color variance. The Dirty Down moss is noticeably greener and more intense with slightly more texture. Speaking of texture, here are both moss paints over my black prime texture palette. Both the Patina and Dirty Down paints seem to produce more color variance when applied over a textured surface. Probably because the paint can flow into the recesses, creating areas where more and less paint collects. Now, that covers the comparison part. I'll choose the winner at the end, but first let's take a look at the two Green Stuff World colors that have no Dirty Down equivalent. Black Soot and Filthy Dirt. Could Filthy Dirt be a non-smelly alternative to streaking grime for weathering? Let's find out. I apply the Black Soot first, lighter and slightly thinned at the top, a thick undiluted coat at the bottom. After about 20 minutes, this is the result, a dark black that oxidizes to a dark grey. It looks really intriguing. As the name suggests, Black Soot is ideal for exhaust pipes and vents, but I can also see it working really well for grime on urban bases. Last but not least, we have Filthy Dirt. I've prepared the same split base in beige and brown, applying less at the top and a thicker coat at the bottom. The color that develops during oxidation is quite strong and has a lot of color variation. Around the edges you can see some yellow-brown that transitions into a dark brown, and in some spots there's even a hint of orange-brown coming through. Here you can see the Filthy Dirt over pure black primer on my Green Stuff World texture palette, which created a really cool effect too. Let's see if we can get some good streaking effects with Filthy Dirt as well. Here on a second base, sprayed beige, I've applied some streaks with Filthy Dirt. After drying, I reactivated and blended the paint with water. That kinda works, but I can't get a perfect transition, so there's a bit of this coffee staining effect around the streaks. Dirty Down paints, all paints and enamel washes like streaking grime do blend more smoothly with the help of a little thinner, but if you'd rather avoid solvent fumes, Filthy Dirt can be a decent weathering alternative. Talking of weathering, Green Stuff World also has a range of liquid pigments. These are earthy colored washes, including rust and verdigris. But unlike regular washes, they aren't transparent but opaque, a bit like dry pigments dissolved in medium. I've included them with the 6 Patina paints in the latest update for my Green Stuff World color swatch, which you get for free if you already have an older version. These liquid pigments don't oxidize and they don't reactivate like the Patina paints. You can see the difference for yourself in my color swatch. My Stahly swatch system uses actual hand-painted samples that I've professionally digitized, and I have plenty of other cross-comparable swatches besides Green Stuff World on my Patreon. Right, all paints tested, it's time for my verdict. Which product will be my winner and might there perhaps be an even better option out there? Patina paints versus Dirty Down. Let's sum up the pros and cons before I crown the winner. The Patina paints give you more than double the volume for the same price, contain no solvents, have a stronger effect and more colors to choose from. On the downside, they take a long time to oxidize, they tend to gunk up the nozzles, and they don't blend as nicely as Dirty Down when you reactivate them with water. Speaking of Dirty Down, they are noticeably more expensive per milliliter, contain solvents, give off fumes, and need a good stir every single time. Straight out of the bottle, the effect is often a bit underwhelming, and it's only once you reactivate them with water that they really show their strengths. So, on to the winner. For Verdigris and Rust, I would go with Green Stuff World, and Soot and Dirt don't really have an alternative anyway. The only place I would give Dirty Down the edge is Moss, where I prefer that slightly darker, more intense green, plus the fact that it's easier to reactivate and feather out for some nice mossy transitions. Please decide for yourself, but overall I got stronger and more consistent effects with the Green Stuff World Patina paints, and they're more affordable and non-toxic. But as impressive as these effect paints are, there's one big drawback that comes with this whole category of oxidation paint. The result is always a bit random and hard to control. It works brilliantly on some colors and surfaces and not so well on others. If you want something more controllable, I would point you towards the 2 thin coats effect paints. These also have a supple oxidation, though they tend towards more vivid colors and are better suited to high saturation paint jobs. Another great option is the Rust effect paint from the Warpaints Fanatic range. Thinned with water or medium, you can build up the oxidation effect in controlled thin layers. So watch my Warpaints Fanatic review on the right next, where I go into more detail on the effect paints. Thanks a lot and happy hobbying!